Hello and welcome to another edition of the NRS Insights podcast. I'm John Lovestock and I'm joined once again today by Brandon Thurber, who is the Vice President of Data Sales and Client Success at National Retail Solutions. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Good, John. How are you?
Good to see you at the NAC show last week. And today we'll be discussing the NRS Retail Same Store Sales Report for September 2025. And the NRS network comprised for the month approximately 37,400 terminals nationwide, scanning purchases at approximately 32,400 independent retailers, predominantly serving urban consumers. So for the same store sales from September to October, we see that month over month, that same store sales increased 5.8% year over year, but we're down slightly from August of 2025. But I believe we'll see that's consistent with normal post-summer sales drops. Units sold were up 2.5% year over year, but down 1.1% month over month. Transactions are up overall 1.9%. And maybe you've been reporting this, but this caught my eye in this most recent report that the average price for the top 500 items was up 2.9%. So almost 3%. So indicating that for me, that costs are still elevated. I don't know if is that inflation driven? Is that just overall cost of getting goods to the store driven? I don't know if you could add any insight on that. And then the 3 month rolling average growth has jumped 5.8%, and that's the strongest in over 2 years since 2023. So it sounds like all in all, it was a good month, but I will turn it over to the expert. So Brandon, fill us in.
Sure, lots to unpack there. If so, for folks that don't know, the convenience, at least my experience in the convenience, in terms of trips, is an upside down U, with the exception of December, right? So, most of the traffic comes June, July, August. August, back to school happens, convenience trips decline ever so slightly up until December, and then because everybody's on the go with holiday travel, rush, whatever, it jumps a little bit in December and then falls off January, February. So
Hmm.
nothing to panic about in terms of September compared to August decline. What is encouraging is compared to a year ago, the trips, units, dollars are up, and decently so. To comment on your 2.9 percent on the top 500 items. Yeah, I think that's general price increase, right? Some inflation, some cost of goods. There's a lot in the chocolate and candy space where those products are up. The raw goods, raw materials are up, so then they have to take price. And tobacco, takes their traditional price increase, so that's where we land at that number.
Okay, great. And if there's one thing that does stand out when I looked at this report, and then we came from the NAC show in Chicago last week, it was a good show. I didn't have high expectations for Chicago compared to Las Vegas because Las Vegas usually draws the most attention. But I thought this year's show was jumping. I thought there were a ton of retailers there talking about how good sales were and talking about their growth. So I think all of that's reflected in this month's report. How about what are you seeing just overall from an overall growth perspective?
Yeah, to echo your comments on the show, I completely agree.
Hmm.
With the traffic, I think it was well spread out, right? Like folks were visiting a variety of booths, and I think it's a good moment for the industry. I think the back bar is revitalized with nicotine pouch. And there's still smokers are still hanging on, so that's what's driving traffic to the stores, as well as expanded food service offerings and other innovations. So really cool to see convenience thriving,
Hmm.
and they're not only it's I think it's overall, especially as we report independent convenience, is really drawing in the consumer.
Sure. And don't underestimate, and this is just conjecture on my part. I talked to John Eichberg at the Nax Fuels Institute about this as well. And the less of a push with the change in presidential administration towards electric. So you're not hearing buy electric cars, buy electric cars. What those electric cars do is when you're charging at home, you don't need as many visits to a convenience store. So you had a perfect storm with electric cars coming in and then the rise of third-party apps and delivery and things like that. So all of a sudden, there's fewer trips. So maybe if you were doing 5 trips a month to a convenience store, maybe it's only 3 or 4. The longer we see gas engines and people filling up, I think, that helps preserve trips. The and then on the mobile app side, I think people are using it as a supplement to shopping. So it's not replacing visits, it might be substituting one of those visits per month, especially on the food service side.
Yeah, I agree. We have an interesting stat through our ad network that the average consumer's in an NRS store 4 times a week, which is really high.
Yeah.
Um, and that is the need state of the independent convenience shopper. All right, it's 70% of our beer sold units sold are singles, so it's an on the go. Grab a snack, grab a beer, grab a pack of cigarettes and a beverage, bag of chips, etc. So it's pretty cool to see the emerging trends.
Hmm.
The other thing I'll throw out there, and a lot of people don't know, is our average basket size is 4 items, and roughly about $15. So it's a independent convenience has a unique presence for that consumer that they may be buying a bag of taco shells along grocery gap fill to
Hmm.
be able to supplement their shopping trips as well.
Sure. And one thing that stood out in report, because you guys specifically called it out this month, and it's that time of year, cold and flu remedy, right? Cold and flu season. So with the local convenience store, the local urban market, I mean, that must jump from, maybe a fringe top 10 SKU to like a top 3 SKU from now
Hmm.
December or January.
Yeah, so I know, so this was the September report. So August compared to September, everybody coming back to school and spreading their
Oh,
germs
yeah.
and all of that. I know that it was really low, and the growth was something like 60% month over month. So it was like obviously it's a low base
Mhm.
in August, but we'll continue to monitor that as the year goes on.
Good. All right. And then, we sound like a broken record every month talking about high growth categories, spirits, and what you call, you have a name for it. You call them the what do you call them?
Prepared cocktails
Yes.
or spirits based beverages. Yep.
Keep going up. I don't get it. Uh, it's strong as
Uh,
hell.
yeah, no, it's people they're flavor forward, they're less work than a mixed drink. So it's convenient in that regard. And I mean 40% year over year is tough to beat in terms of dollar sales. And commenting from the NAC show, there's a ton of new varieties and opportunity out there. So
Everyone I went by the Anheuser-Busch booth, and where in years past, because I'm an old guy, I used to hang out in that booth in the 90s, and it was all beer. It was just all beer. It was different beer brands, and they went on a beer acquisition spree and bought, local brews. Same thing with, the Miller Coors folks. But this year, it was a decidedly different experience. There were a lot of not a lot. I'd say beer was maybe 25% of what was in the booth. And that really says something.
yeah, definitely. And then I'll just throw out there, and chocolate continues to thrive in terms of year over year growth. Energy drinks, had a blip a year or so ago, but month over month are one of our top categories.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of innovation there, whether it's supplements or protein in your energy drink or what have you. So I look for that vertical to continue to ramp up.
All right, I got one for you. This was all over the trade show floor. I'm going to put you on the spot because I know you like to. No, no, I was going to make a joke, but I want to get you in trouble. THC infused beverages. I I have to be honest with you. Uh, I was surprised. I was surprised at the presence at NAX, the buzz, no pun intended. These things are here to stay. or at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, as we're recording this, Target made headlines this week that they are now stocking them. So I think I don't know. It's always difficult to rely on government to do anything good or bad, indifferent, but um, it, it'll be interesting to see what comes of the category. But there seems like there's consumer demand with the presence of them.
Hmm. It's a generational shift, I think, that we've seen for years with this younger generation who, they're not beer drinkers. They're not sitting in a bar like their dad and having 3 or 4 pints with the guys. They're on the go. They're moving. They like these energy drinks. They like these infused drinks. And it shows. I mean, the demand, it shows in the demand, and it shows in the early sales indications we're seeing.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
so, if you can, before we wrap up, if you can give me one or two nuggets, maybe from the report that I didn't bring up, and then maybe one or two nuggets you saw with all your experience and knowledge of the market at the NACS show that might be worth keeping an eye on.
So I have to throw it out there just because it always gets a chuckle and a good reaction. Non-alcoholic beer up double digits. So we
Double
didn't
digits.
mention that. Yeah, up
Double.
double digits.
I'm embarrassed for my book.
And coffee and espresso was another one that it was kind of under the radar, but seems to have a little bit of a regrowth. So I'm not sure exactly that could potentially be a TikTok trend. I know that there's been some rumors of that. I'm not as familiar, but I think that it's interesting to see social media and its impact in CPG, especially in retail.
Hmm.
And then, okay, so then the NAC show. Uh, I'll throw out that there's a ton of uh, opportunity. There's some big players at the show that um, are doing good things to help retail, help traffic with new innovation. I was impressed with.
Hmm.
This new flavor, this new additive that is going to speak to consumers, and I think that's uh, where convenience really thrives, right? You don't have to go to the grocery store and buy a 24 pack of something or a box of whatever. You can go and you get a single serve and try it, like it, and move on from there.
Very good. Yeah, the retailers seem to walk the trade show floor this year with more of a sense of purpose, and I think that's driven by the demand from consumers that they're getting questioned in their stores for items like this or for new technology, and then they come to the show floor with the purpose. Hey, I need this, or what are you hearing about that? It wasn't that way in previous years where I man a booth this year, and it used to be people coming in and saying, "Oh, what do you do?" And now it was like, I have this problem. What's your solution? And that's
Sure.
that's a different tone, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would also on the CPG side of things, you could say like, "Hey, I we are innovating in this realm. Is this something that you want to partner with?" And or many brands were very positive towards that and say, "Yeah, like I'm glad you're doing that and unlocking those opportunities, and let's talk more." So, yes, everybody is. It's a sea of opportunity.
Excellent. All right. Again, I like to wrap up. Put on your prognosticator hat. We talked about golden beverages, but how do you think October's shaping up, and what do you think we could expect to see for next month's report?
October, couple things that we're looking at are downsizing, but downsizing doesn't seem to be leading to a decrease in dollars. So there's something that we're taking a look at there. Candy will likely have a big month as we approach Halloween,
Hmm.
and then what other fall products are going to thrive?
Very good. All right. So, Brandon, how can people get this report and track what you're doing?
Yeah, it's the NRS same store sales report. It comes out once a month. And the easiest way to get it is from our parent company, IDT.net, in terms of press releases.
All right. Excellent, Brandon. Thank you. So for Brandon Thurber, I'm John Lovestock. I'm going to thank everyone for tuning in again this month, and we look forward to having you again next month when we discuss the October, excuse me, the October numbers. Have a good afternoon, everyone.